Hi everybody, Elin here. Today I come to you guys with a top 17 favorite books of 2017, and for this list I am not counting rereads, because in that case pretty much all of this list would be filled up with Harry Potter and Alice in Wonderland, because I read them this year, so that wouldn't be any fun at all. You guys already know I love those books, so yeah. So I'm going to work from 17 and upwards towards number 1. So place number 17 is taken by A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and in this book you meet Kel, and he can travel between different parallel Londons. So we have Black London, Red London, Grey London and White London, and there's different amount of magic in all of these different Londons, and he's one of the few people that can travel between them, and when doing so, he brings something back with him which he should not have, which starts a lot of troubles, really. And we also meet Lila Bard, who's really cool and kick-ass, and I just really love this book. And the book that made to place 16 is Daughter of the Pirate King. And in this book you meet Alosa, and she is obviously the Pirate King's daughter, and she and her father are trying to find the missing pieces of this treasure map. They only have one piece, and I think they need like 3 or 4 in total to be able to find the treasure. So Alosa and her pirate crew gets themselves captured to be able to look for this map on, you know, this other pirate ship with a lot of different pirates, so they can look for this map that she thinks they have on this ship. And we meet also this guy named Ridden that belongs to the other pirate crew, and their chemistry is amazing and they're hilarious together, and I really like it. There's a lot of kick-assery and, you know, sarcasm and stuff, and that's shit I love in books. And now we come to place number 15, and that is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Sapia. And in this room we meet Eliza, obviously, and she wrote this webcomic called The Monsters and Monster Sea or something like that, and she makes the pictures and everything, which you get to see in the book if I can find any. Come on, here we have them. So she makes this artwork online, and she has a shitload of readers, like crazy amount of readers, and nobody knows who she is because she's anonymous. And we also meet this guy named Wallace, who actually transfers to Eliza's school, and he is like a really big Monster Sea nerd. So he actually makes a fan fiction of it, and he doesn't know Eliza is the writer of Monster Sea, and they meet at school, and it's so cute, and I really liked it. And then we have a book that made it onto place 14, and that is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. And this is take place during the 1700s. We meet Monty, and his father wants him to take over, you know, the estate and every business and things like that in one day, and Monty is not really living up to the expectations his father's had on him, so he sends Monty out together with Monty's friend Percy, and this is around Europe, so he's supposed to, you know, take care of himself and grow up and everything like that. So they're away for a while, and they come across a lot of troubles, and, you know, you get to find out how Percy is actually black, how he's treated by different people, because this is the 1700s, so he doesn't have it really easy, but his relationship with Monty is so adorable. And Monty also has a crush on Percy because Monty's actually bisexual, but he's not out of the closet, so nobody actually knows that. And their friendship is so cute, and you get to follow like how he's handling his feelings for Percy, which is not also always go very well. And then we have Monty's sister, who's hilarious and awesome, and book 2 is going to be all about her, and I'm totally in for that. Now we come to book number 13, and that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, and this is book 2 in the Six of Crows duology. And, you know, all it says on the cover is, when you can't beat the odds, change the game. So the first book is pretty much about 6 outcasts, and they're trying to do this impossible heist. It's kick-ass, it's hilarious, and OTP in this book. Oh yes. So I really liked this, and it was a perfect conclusion to the duology. And I do want more though. I want more. And then we have book number 12 on the list, and that is The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. And in this one you meet this girl named Ruby, and she's actually living in this camp together with a lot of other kids that has turned out to have different magical powers, and they've sorted into different colors depending on how dangerous they are. You know, all of the kids in the US, and a lot of the kids died from this sort of disease, but the ones that didn't die, they ended up with these powers, and the government is not doing a real good job because they're just bundling all of the kids into different camps and say that they rehabilitate them, but they're not really doing that. And Ruby managed, with the help of some other people, to escape, and she made some friends along the way, and I got so attached to these friends, and this book made me cry, it made me laugh, it was so good. So of course this had to be on this list. And place number 11 is taken by a book I actually read in December, just a couple of days ago, and that is The Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan, which is book 1 in Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series. And in this one you meet Magnus Chase, obviously, and he actually lives on the street, has been doing so for 2 years, and that's because his mother died. He finds out that he is the kid of a Norse god. I don't want to spoil which god it is because fun times. But Magnus Chase, he's so sarcastic, he's hilarious, he's sort of awkward, doesn't really know how to fight, and he gets wrapped up in all of these mythology things, and it's so freaking hilarious. And then we have the number 10, so we're counting down from there right now, and that is Talking as Fast as I Can, from Gilmore Girls to Gilmore Girls and Everything in Between, by Lauren Graham. And this is actually a biography, and if you guys who love Gilmore Girls, you definitely know who this is, because Lauren Graham actually portrayed the character Lorelai Gilmore, and I love Gilmore Girls so much, and obviously I love Lauren Graham's portrayal of the character, so I needed to read this. I read all of it, pretty much all of it, in one day. It was so good, and it was so fun to get her like points of view, not only on Gilmore Girls, but her like the way she grew up and how did she get me to do like the showbiz and everything like that. And she's really funny at the same time, and you definitely get some Lorelai vibes in it, so that was really fun to see. And book number 9, and that is The Blood of Olympus, which is the book 5 and final book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan, and I love this book. So much happens, but I'm not going to spoil it because there's a lot of books you need to read before that. But this series sort of revolves around both Greek and Roman mythology. You meet Percy and Annabeth, and also a lot of new characters, and they have to work together to save the day, pretty much. And it was such a good conclusion, and I loved it, and I don't know, it was so good. And then we come to place number 8, and that is taken by On the Fence by Casey West. And I think this is like my favorite Casey West book so far. I really liked it. So we meet this girl named Charlotte, or Charlie as she prefers to be called, as she's sort of this tomboy. She has a lot of brothers, and she like plays different sports with them and everything like that. But her father's actually a cop, and during the last like a year or so, she's been on a lot of speeding tickets, and mostly she's able to talk herself out of it, you know, not needing to pay because the policemen often know her dad. But this time that does not work, and her father's obviously pissed, and she has to work this debt off herself. So she has to take this job in a store, which is not really her typical place to be. She's not really interested in makeup and clothes and everything like that, but that's suddenly what she's working with. And I don't know, I just recognize myself a lot in Charlie as a character, and then she starts going on dates, she makes like girlfriends, and she meets this guy, and it's so cute. And we come to book number 7, and that is taken by Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. And in this one we meet Lena. She's 15 years old, and her mother and her brother are waking up in the middle of the night in Lithuania, and they are sent away. They're being deported to Siberia, which is, as you probably know, a really cold freaking place, and they have to try to survive because there's a long way to go there, and so much shit happens. And this takes place during the Second World War, if you didn't know, and it was so well written and well researched too, because she's like interviewed survivors of these terrible events that actually happened, while she's made some things up herself, and it was so well written, and it was so horrible at the same time and heartbreaking, and it definitely made me shed a couple of tears, and I just completely like plowed through this book, and it was so good. And then we come to place number 6, and this book actually surprised me a lot for me liking it like at all, and definitely for making this list, because I definitely did not think that before reading it. But that is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas, and the reason it surprised me so much is because I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I had such huge problems with Feyre. She was driving me nuts, and I thought she was kind of dumb at points. Like, some things were so obvious, and she just didn't understand that there were consequences from her choices, and it annoyed me so much. But I really liked this one. So going from the first book, which I gave like 3 or 3.5, I'm not really sure, but somewhere around there, to go to this one, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. And the first book is about Feyre, and she lives with her 2 sisters and her dad in this little cottage, and they don't have a lot of money, they have like no food on the table, so she actually goes into the forest to try to capture something. And this is in the middle of winter, so there's not a lot of animals, you know, out in the open, and she actually managed to kill a wolf, who turns out not to be a wolf, but an actual fae in disguise. And there's a very fragile like truce between the humans and the faes. She has to, you know, accept her punishment, which is to go into the fae land, to live there and live out her life there for what she did. And surprisingly enough, I love this book. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to continue reading ACOWAR, which I'm currently reading. And now we're counting down from place number 5. And I'm really happy to be able to say they're so sweet on this list, because hallelujah. But that is Vi mot er by Fredrik Backman, and this is book 2 in the series called Björnstad, and or Beer Town as it's been translated into English. And I really loved the first book, and this one is not as good, but really close to it, and it's such a good sequel. In the first book, you get to learn about the called Björnstad. It's kind of small, it's pretty much out in nowhere, and everybody is freaking obsessed with hockey. And I'm not really interested in hockey, but that does not matter. You'll love this book anyways, which is what a lot of people say when they've read it. But it's about these teenagers trying to become the best in Sweden in the year class, and it's going really well for them. But suddenly there's a lot of talk about like someone's been raped and people die, and it's like everything goes crazy and shit goes down, and it's so good. And book 2 was definitely really good as well. And you definitely need to read this series, so check Fredrik Backman out. Now we come to place number 4, and here you find The Hate to Give by Angie Thomas. And in this one we meet 16-year-old Star. She's at this party, and on her way home she gets a lift from her childhood friend, and on the way home they meet this police officer who totally unprovoked and for no reason at all just up and shoot Star's friend, and she's the only witness to this police brutality. And you know, shit goes down from there. She's trying to prove what the policeman did, and the policeman is, you know, trying to do the opposite, trying to tell people that like he was armed and stuff like that. And it's such an emotional read, and it was so well written, and it was so freaking like emotional, and definitely made me cry at points. And you know, it's such an important read, and I feel like everybody should have to read this book in school. And now we come to place number 3, and that is taken by Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. So in this one we meet Diana, who is Wonder Woman obviously, and she rescued this girl called Alia, and she's actually on this boat together with some other teenagers, but they boat goes under from this bomb, and Diana decides to save her. And since no mortals are supposed to be come to this island where the Amazons live, the island is trying to repel Alia, and Alia, who turns out to be the Warbringer, gets sick from this, and the island is getting sick as well because she's there. And Diana has to choose between killing Alia and saving the island, or she has to go with Alia back to the real world and try to get rid of this Warbringer thing, because the Warbringer is like creating all of the problems in the world pretty much, like all of the wars and stuff like that, and it's inevitable that another world war would start. And it's so good, it's sarcasm, it's hilarious, it's kick-ass, it's powers, and Diana, it's so funny. She has read about a lot of the technology that is like in our world at the moment, but she's never really seen it, and it's hilarious, and she doesn't really understand some expressions like shot the gun, and she's like, what, where? And you're probably wondering which book takes place number 2, because I feel like I haven't talked about it a lot, but here we go anyways. And that is Wonder by R.J. Palacio, and this was actually one of the first books I read this year, like among the 10 first, I believe. And this is a middle grade book, and you meet August, and he's been homeschooled his entire life because he has some deforms in his face, and he's had a lot of surgeries to trying to fix it, so he's, you know, easier to breathe and everything like that. So for the first time in his life, he's actually supposed to go to school, and obviously he's terrified because he doesn't know how people will react, because he hasn't always gotten like positive you know, contact with people because of the way he looks. And it's such an emotional read, and you really feel with August the entire time, and it's so well written, and definitely among my like favorite books of all time, I'd say. Really, this book made me cry so freaking hard. I couldn't stop for like 20 minutes, and that has like haven't happened since I read Deathly Hallows for the first time. And it's just so freaking good. So if you haven't picked this book up, I definitely recommend you doing so. And I feel like everybody know which book will be number 1, since I haven't mentioned it in this list yet. So you probably won't be surprised to hear that it is Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I freaking love this book. I can't stop talking about it, so probably you're tired of hearing about it. But in this one, we meet Simon Spear. He's 16 years old. He is gay, but he's not out of the closet yet, so nobody actually knows he's gay. And for the last couple of months, he's been chatting online with this guy named Blue. And Simon actually logs onto one of the computers in the library. He forgets to log out, and then this guy he knows who sees this and, you know, spreads the emails around the school. So Simon is pretty much like forced out of the closet, and everybody knows that he's gay, and he's been talking to this guy and everything. And the thing is that Blue actually goes to Simon's school, but since Blue is not his real name, Simon doesn't actually know who he is, but since Simon is pushed out of the closet, Blue knows who he is. So, I mean, it's really well written. I love Simon. He's like the biggest Harry Potter nerd I've ever seen in a book. Besides from Harry Potter, but not really fangirling about themselves. And he's amazing, and I love this book, and it's so heart-wrenching at times, and just beautiful, beautiful friendship and hard times, and it's just so good. And I'm actually really happy that the favorite book for this year is a contemporary, because I'm very much a fantasy person, so I'm really glad that a couple of contemporaries made it onto this list. So yeah, those were the 17 books that I made it onto my 2017 list. And like I said, I read a shitload of good books this year, so a lot of them unfortunately couldn't be on this list, but I have read a lot of books that are 4.5 and 4 stars as well, that unfortunately, you know, everything can't be on the list. But yeah, I hope you liked this video, and please let me know what your favorite book was for that you read this year down below in the comments. And yeah, if you like this video, please give me some thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the little button down below. And yeah, I hope we see each other next time. Bye!